for being here. You're heroes, really. I know it's a long day, and we want to meet everyone. It's so tough. But thank you for being here. And this is the best of the day. Now is the best of the day. Yeah. So thank you very much, Dani. I know how busy you are also today, and thank you for taking the opportunity to know more about you and what you do. And it's going to be just a conversation, like nobody is here, just friends around the table. And the goal is really to understand how do we serve, or how do we make a supply chain resilient? And here's the big word, in a crisis. When a crisis happens, how can we stay still strong, you know? So in my first call, and I'm ready. So thank you again.
Thank you.
And can I just start by asking, so simply, can you just give us a layman definition of what is a logistics broker, or the broker, warehousing broker, which is your activity?
I mean, I think there are a few different variations of what people interpret brokers to be. For me, we specialise in helping people whether they have space or need it. Fundamentally, is that warehousing, is that transport, it's anything within that bubble. So we help people find what they need when they need it.
Okay, so is it correct to say that, let's say I'm having 10, 15 containers coming in, I thought I needed just my 1,000 square meters in my warehouse were enough, and then, oh no, it's not enough. And then this is where we call, as you write, this is where we call the company and say, can you please help us find another 2,000 square meters, because we need space.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually had exactly that scenario, a similar scenario, less than 2 weeks ago. A client had stock turning up in Rotterdam. They'd worked with the site for 8 months. They'd fully spec'd out the solution, and then the site rang them that day to say, actually, we can't help you now. It was batteries, it was hazardous, it was bonded, it was all sorts of pain, and we had them on a call.
All at once.
All at once. However, within 15 minutes, we had them on a call with a site in Rotterdam, and they had everything mapped out and ready to go within 48 hours.
Wow.
So I think the reality is, especially when we talk about crisis, we've had so many in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
What's a crisis now? We've been so responsive. We found so many different ways, and lots of businesses are very, very kind of used to coming up to challenges. I think what we do is just help people navigate those at pace, knowing that they can speak to a number of different providers in a completely unbiased environment. Easy.
Yeah, easy when you're there. And maybe to understand better about how do you intervene at the customer side, what are the reasons, or the main reasons, that your customers' supply chains breaks? Like, what are the top 3 or top 5 reasons why there's a problem, the one that you always hear, like a leitmotif?
And I think there's a couple of answers to that, in all honesty. There is, what has the last 5 years given us? Because I don't think any of us have had normal, let alone a normal challenge in the last 5 years. So without touching on Suez Canal, ports closing, COVID, and all of the things we've all navigated, fundamentally LSG was designed, and we built that wholeheartedly with a passion to help clients who have seasonal requirements. So you don't want to take a warehouse on in your full capacity for 12 months of the year. Well, actually, we can help you navigate those challenges on a flexible basis, saving costs and time. So you've got seasonal challenges, growth. We might have an over-exuberant buyer. All of a sudden, we put an extra 0, which has absolutely happened. Number of extra pallets turn up, and all of a sudden, we've got 10 years of Christmas cards. So the reality is that it's the impact outside of your standard operation. Absolutely source. And I genuinely believe there are people that have paid such a premium for these answers, when actually our business gives an unbiased and total access to a market to get a cost-effective and flexible.
So I was going to ask you that. No, I'm happy because it comes naturally. because you're here to help in a crisis, usually it means more expensive.
Yeah. Yes, with other people, yes, you're right.
So, so that's what I wanted to ask you in full transparency, and you can say yes, but because it's all justified, you know, and I'm sure it's worth it. So, how do you price in the market? Like, again, being in logistics, I understand that in crisis everything is in demand.
Yeah.
So and you have scarcity.
Yeah.
And things are more expensive. This is normal. So how do you manage to give such, I would say, in crisis mode, that service in a certain range of price?
I think the reality is the perception is you pay more if something is needed
Right.
at pace, at volume outside of your normal. And certainly if you go to a single provider or a single there's an expectation that you've got a premium because all we do every day is look at flexible solutions that can be cost effective, but especially that we focus on robust. You know, flexible and urgent doesn't have to mean it's not robust. And the same goes for pricing. So we'll talk to all of our partners that look like they can fit. We'll narrow those down to the preferred options. And unsurprisingly, cost is absolutely a discussion point. But actually what we find is when we compare what's available, the value that you'll get, you know, solid partner, the one in Rotterdam, for example, had great cost, let down last minute. Price isn't always the best value for clients, so we'll navigate those conversations, trying to get the best price, but making sure they've actually got a robust solution. And I think those two go hand in hand, and certainly flexible and immediate, fast solutions don't have to be expensive, because we work with so many providers who make sure we negotiate the best rates.
So your network of partners is also your way of keeping it very reasonable and accessible for others. Okay, got it, I understand. You were just saying also about the, so if we speak about the resilience, because that's what you try to help. Like when you go into a company, if I understand correctly, you try to, you know, to be like that bridge, or not to break. If it's broken, you keep it until it rebuilds. So when you go in, silly question, but I'm just curious. When you go in, how long do you stay in average to fix a problem? Is it like 2 days, 3 days, you're out, surgery case, or you stay 3 months, or you stay 6 months, or how does it work?
It entirely depends on the project. So, you know, Rotterdam as an example, had the call, introductions, within 24 to 48 hours, they're now working together. They've got the right partners, having the right conversation. Our work fundamentally was done very, very quickly. We've got other partners of ours, so we support, you know, a global healthcare business with their final mile bespoke solutions, where actually we've worked with them solidly for 4 years because we keep evolving with them to get their next need, their next solution. So we stay as long as the client sees value in where we are and helping them. As soon as we can enable them on their own path, we release that. That's our aim, is to have them up and running as quickly as possible and us out sooner, as soon as they're ready.
So we heard from you the example of Rotterdam, of Holland, and you're based in UK, right?
Yeah.
So you operate nationally in UK. Where else do you support or help? I'm sure there's no limit where space is needed.
Yeah.
But
unsurprisingly, my answer will be wherever we need it.
Right.
So a lot of our networks are, you know, international anyway, as far as their reach and their capacity. You know, we pride ourselves in finding the right people to provide the right solution. So currently we're looking at we're on projects in Sydney's coming up, Netherlands, we're already looking in America for another client of ours, as well as then the work we're doing in the UK and within Europe. So whilst our core focus essentially started in the UK, what we found is the relationships evolve, you help people then in other areas, and what we found is we actually respond to wherever our clients need us.
Can you please give us an example of when one or two, or three, of when did you help a company for their supply chain not to break?
Well, I mean, actually, the healthcare is a really good example. So when COVID hit, and when you're dealing with MHRA rules and regulations, you can't move controlled drugs without having certain requirements in place.
Or certificates, or
exactly, yeah, working with the right partners. So up to that point, we had a number of people from cost control, loss prevention, their health and safety. So we'd have 7 or 8 of their team come to audit every site. So I became essentially an extension of their team. I would go to all of the sites, do all of the visits. We removed their requirement to have any of those colleagues there because I would audit on their behalf, feedback, with support with video calls to make sure that it worked. And essentially during that period, they were initially shut down for, I think it was 3 weeks. We were all grounded. Nobody knew if you could travel. But they still had to move these drugs, had to get them to pharmacies. There's life-saving vials for like cancer treatment. They had to carry on. So by me proactively doing all of the extension of their business, removing their physical need, they could deliver their services because I firmed them all up.
Oh, wow. And yeah, I mean, what else than, life-saving situation, literally?
Yeah, literally. It felt really to be in, and I think that's the thing with logistics. There's so many different sectors, so many different products, so many different, but fundamentally, even in COVID, when it was about getting food into grocers, so we worked with 3 of the top 4 grocers in the UK to remove stock out of their existing depots to release space so they could actually move at pace. So where they had the restrictions with people being able to be in close contact, actually some of them had to move stock out in order to be able to deliver. E-commerce absolutely flew off the shelves on the online world. So actually being able to allow them to move so we could all decorate our gardens, that was obviously key for lots of us. And of course, lots of pasta and toilet rolls were needed, so we just had to do our fitness rings to make sure that they were serviced.
Wow. When someone asks you a service in a country you don't know, how do you manage? Let's say you have no customer in XY country, so how do you manage that first time you need space in that country?
And bizarre, and we've had lots of these conversations today actually, the most important thing is actually finding out what they need. So lots of times if we're looking for space because we have to move a product to X, or we believe that's the case. It could be alternate ways to deliver the objective. So for me, listen to the brief, but understand what actually drove it. So we've had some great conversations with people today with regards to, well, what do we want? But actually what's driving that? Is there something else we can do? And once we've got that firmed up, it's network communications and speed. So we've got our own technology.
So it's not a showstopper?
Absolutely not. Okay. It's just even more exciting when it's the first.
Right? Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking. I understand, and I believe everyone understands also that your peak of experience is during a crisis or emergency, but not only. So how do you measure that this situation is mega urgent, like red, purple, and the other one is like yellowish, orange, is not that urgent? The customer is telling you, oh, it's super urgent, but it's not really that urgent. So how do you know that? I know probably it's experience, but do you have a way of, like you have indicators, or you have a way of measuring that?
I mean, I always find if the client's in tears, it's a really good first metric. It's my go-to place. If they're not in tears, in reality, most people feel whatever they need is urgent. So it's, for me, it's gauging, do they need this to go live tomorrow? And in reality, working back from, do you need this tomorrow? Or is this that you just need to know you can do it tomorrow? Because it's very different to have answers versus when does it need to go live. I think if we're really pragmatic, we always work back down and say, right, this client is urgent. If you look at an automotive client we helped recently, we had to have an answer in 24 hours, or the business was shut down. Failing to deliver just in time to an automotive client is an absolute no-no.
No, you can't, yeah.
So although it's not the same as healthcare, there's no life-saving drugs involved, actually there's a contract-dependent solution.
Millions.
Yeah, absolutely, the penalties. So we just work through a process of, when do you actually need it? Or do you just need to know you can have it sooner? And that's a really big indicator on.
I like that. When do you actually need it versus what you need the information or you need the action.
You want to be confident that there's a solution, but I don't need to move for 3 months. That's very different around scheduling time. But if everything's going under tonight, if we don't do it now, that's where how we define critical.
In this era of technology, digital everything, robotize everything, of course we are going there, that's for sure. There is no way back. But how does it ease your job, or how does it help you? How technology or AI or any tool help your job? If it is, because maybe simply phone is your technology. So I just wanted to know what are the tools that you feel are useful, or what would be the tool you wish to have to ease your job? Because that's not easy to put all that on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you could give me a tool that had 28 hours in a day,
right?
It's sufficiently helpful. I think for me, I'm a logistics geek through and through. I love what I do. I've been doing it for 20 years, and there's so many ways that you can add value to clients. Speed is absolutely the most important thing that we can do. So technology has always been part of our plan. And we've actually released our own bespoke technology. So I've taken all of my knowledge of the years, my experience as a broker, and we've automated the admin part of what we do. So the search, the streaming, the putting the information back in, because you cannot release and remove the knowledge of the operator. You don't know how the warehouse works. You can't put a generic brief in. You can't expect to have a generic answer and it resolve the challenge. So we've automated the areas that you don't need to be an expert, to make sure that everything that's warehousing operator-led is still led by a human. So once we've got the answers, I'll still interrogate the options to make sure they actually work for the client. The smallest one, I think the biggest errors come from the smallest details. So for me, it's a bit of both.
Oh, okay. And so from your side, of course, communication with the customer, with the teams, the operational team, understanding what's their process, as you described. Maybe I'm repeating here, but please bear with me. It's just because I really want to understand. What would be one thing that is painful in your day-to-day, you and your team, that you would want to ease or make it faster? You talked about speed.
Yeah.
So what would it be, that thing that you would love, that if I could have this faster, or if I could do that in another way?
Yeah, and actually, and honestly, I think with the bespoke tech that we've rolled out, we've absolutely nailed that. The speed of the answers back to clients is probably we were one of the first brokers to actually develop our own tech like this. We are not a technology business. There are some that have done it to try to be tech providers and about data. I'm about your warehouse, your solution, your need, logistics. So actually the tech that we developed entirely supports what you said. How do we do it quickly? How do we get it back? So we're in stage 3 of a 378B rollout plan. But we're in that point where the big speed has been answered and everything else is more about fine tuning, and our clients will be able to log in soon and see in real time the answers as they come in. So it just emphasises further how quickly you can have an answer to your requirement. So lots more tech development, I think, but fundamentally still led by operators.
That's amazing, because you built that based on real cases.
Yes.
Yeah, like so, and as you said, without being a pure tech company, you built what you need to answer to the customer requirement. Amazing.
And we've got a great development team that I'm constantly going, and another thing.
Yeah.
So I think agile tech is very important. Yeah.
Huge FAQ. But that's how it is. You're right, because sometimes a lot of answers can be answered because 10 or 100 other people asked the same question before. So instead of spending 15 minutes on the phone or 30 minutes on the phone, it's easier to find the answer online for both parties, actually. They get the answer faster, and you have some time saved and some voice saved because of that. Amazing. Today, where do you, what is the next step for you? where do you see your company growing, or what would be the next step evolution?
So I think there's an element with regards to the global network, and I think everything's getting smaller as far as the world, but still transport, cross channel communications, customs. So there are elements that for me long term I'd like to see if we can build in more technology to support those areas. So at the moment, depending on which country you're in or where you're shipping to or what your product is, there are so many challenges still, and there's some great companies out there that support that. But I think, as a business, with the number of things that we do, we can still focus around how can we make information readily, speedily available and accurate. Sometimes the best answer is to work with a consultant that can deep delve into your unique minutiae requirements to make global changes. And sometimes it's just about having a resource that's really quick that can say, yes, there's 10,000 pallets free here. So for me, it's how do you bring all of those things and create accessibility that's entirely right. So for me, that's the focus, the big dream.
Wow, amazing. Thank you very much. Do you want to add something here that I missed, maybe?
So I think nothing's jumped out per se, other than I just really want to emphasise that the reality for me is many partners feel restricted largely by, within your network, if you don't have the answer, you feel that there might not be the answer. And I think that's where, for me, our business is about making sure people feel confident that that one conversation can give you many answers and help you fine tune. So actually needing something short notice, needing something fast, you don't have to sacrifice robust. And that's really, for me, I think brokering is about professionalising this industry to make sure people feel confident that answers are there and not just make do, if that's
exactly. And I think, in times of crisis, to be honest, I want to put my faith into someone, even if I don't know, but I feel I can trust with my business, because in times of crisis, this is where we are the most vulnerable.
Exactly.
So I don't want to be played with, I don't want to be, so for me it's very important, and it's not easy. It's not easy to find someone you can rely on in a crisis situation. So for me this is very important, much more than the price itself, because I know that next time I can rely on, I can call Dani the fixer.
And you don't even have to compromise on price.
See?
No, thank you, I appreciate
No, really. Thank you so much. I'm so happy. I'm so glad we met. We connected the first time we talked, and I think I love your passion, what you do, and for me, the first thing I want to do is to call you one day and to say, hey, you know what? We need space in Jeddah, or we need space somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Can you please help us? Because I know you can.
Yes,
You might not be there physically, but I know you have the right methodology to find it faster than I do. So yes, I'm so blessed, and I'm so glad we met. And shall we open the floor for some questions? Yeah? So please, I hope we were audible enough. Sorry if I turned my back a little bit. Please, if you have any question, take your time. And yes? In English, in French, I can translate.
I will try.
Did everyone understand what Dani does? Her job? Yeah. Right? Sorry?
You already made it sample.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So that's the objective.
Absolutely.
Objective and target done.
Actually, I have a question.
Please.
Yeah, I would like to ask you if you have any experience with Morocco previously, and what do you think about the Morocco market in the supply chain?
So I understand that from an experience perspective, not directly, however, my understanding is I know that there's a number of complexities with regards to, as there are in other regional areas. We've been talking today, alone around shipping from one area, especially if you're shipping to multiple countries, business to consumer, that you've got some opportunities to be had around density. And I think actually here today with a consultant partnership business of ours, and we've been answering some of those questions collectively, because as we've alluded to, it's not always the answer around a physical space, but sometimes the knowledge around how to hack into those markets and do different things. I think there's opportunities for significant partnerships to generate improvement around shipping and dispatching, certainly out of the country as well.
If I may add,
Yeah.
just a minute.
Yes.
But if I may add, in all very transparency, I really what I said at the end. The thing is about the company of Dani, they have the experience of how to find it fast. What are the methodology? I do this, then that. If I don't get that space at that moment, then I will do this, that. So the way of getting and finding the space, the methodology is more important than the geography, because again, please stop me if I'm wrong, but if Dani needs to find space in Congo, okay, probably some of the points cannot do, but some other she will go straight to it, but she will go so fast because she knows. So I believe even if she doesn't know Morocco, but you need space in Dakhla, from the moment she understands your need, she'll find you the space. I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the point. I'm just alluding to the fact that we're here in partnership with another business as well, because I believe that the network is the answer. So I don't have every answer, but I know how to get the answers for you. And working with people who do and pulling on that knowledge is all I do all day. So retailers and brands, core business, making things work. You've got this entity that you're running, you're managing, and logistics. When things go wrong and change, actually we bring someone like me in, and all I do is logistics, and all I do is work with partners who know how to make it work. We were a very small part day to day of the overall brand's activity, but when it goes wrong, it becomes big. Well, we take the big away, and actually we work with people who know how to do it. So hopefully that's a bit clear. Thank you.
Question? No? Are you sure?
And I'm happy to stay back, and if anyone wants to just talk one-to-one around something
Yeah, by the way, Dani is here till tomorrow evening, so it's fine. You still have time. So, Robin, any question? I can see you behind the...
Yeah. I might have a question, but I came in late, but maybe it's already been spoken about.
It's okay.
Have you done any projects in the Middle East?
We're actually working with some partners at the moment who are looking to develop in the Middle East. So NISSRINE and I have had conversations around how we can support where there's obviously great demand. I work with partners who have access to solutions in the Middle East. So in a number of different ways, yes. But we've not launched anything for client directly there yet, but we're working on how we can help improve and offer access.
All right.
Is there something particularly about the Middle East that you are looking forward to?
Me? No, I'm from the Middle East, so, but we will speak later on. I think it's an interesting opportunity.
Yes, I think lots of opportunities as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah?
Cool.
Sahadin?
Good.
Good. Thank you all very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here at the end of this day. And Dani, you're amazing. Honestly, thank you very much. Thank you for the passion, because when you do things with passion, it will work for sure. So, and I'm so glad again we met, and I hope we all connect and work and see what kind of opportunities we have. Or not just know each other, that's enough, you know? So thank you again.